Hi, this is Jan Guarino, and you're in Fearless Watercolors. Welcome. Tonight, we're going to be doing a really good subject matter for analogous colors that sit next to each other on a color wheel, and also complementary colors that are opposite. So it is a sea turtle. Let me show you the photograph that we're going to be using. Don't mind these big bubbles. That was just a little water that got onto my color copy. But you could see that we did actually add some bubbles and some of the light areas where he's close to the surface, and these are air bubbles. So I did some splatter, and you probably were able to see all of that on my masking, on my contour drawing that I sent to everybody. So let's do a little bit of a warm up, and I'm just going to go a little closer for you guys. Oh, there's a drawing on that one. Okay, let me find another piece of paper. Here we go. I'm using 200-pound Saunders Waterford paper. And the way that I think would be so great to do this is with complementary colors, but I don't want the water to just be one color. Okay, so if you want to just take a quick pencil and just kind of give me, the turtle, the turtle shell, just so we have, sort of that's his fin, just a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy, but I just want to paint this a little bit. And of course, we have these beautiful lights that will be, I think we're going to be saving those. So I'm going to just draw some of those in. So just a real quick little rendering. Doesn't have to be exact or anything. It's just to kind of guess. Okay, so the first thing that I want to play with is our water. So I'm just going to wet the water area with water, right? I have a big mop brush. I like this brush. I'm getting used to it. It's Da Vinci, and it's pretty cool because it I actually got it in Milan when I was there this past October, and I went to a store that was called Pellegrini, and I was able to get Mari colors, which was absolutely so much fun. So I'm dropping in, this is a little bit of cobalt, okay? But I don't want to stick with just one color. So we could use a little bit of our phthalo blue. We could use a little phthalo turquoise. These are all analogous colors. And if you wet the area with a little bit of water, right? So I'm just going to wet it. I'm not pushing the paint around with my brush. I'm simply giving it water. I'm going to get, you could use ultramarine blue. You could use any of your analogous colors. All these colors sit next to each other on the color wheel, and they will never, ever, ever get muddy. So a lot of watercolor artists, they're like, I get mud. Well, it's because you don't, you're not understanding how to use your color wheel. So by using color wheel, now I want you to just make sure you take that and you just add your color. And what I want you to think about is letting a little bit of gravity move your paint for you, as opposed to you pushing it around with your brush. Drop a little water in, get some drips. So turn your paper all different directions so that you could really have some fun with this. You could even add a little bit of green if you wanted to. This is a little bit of green gold. Oh, that looks really nice. You don't want the paint to get stuck in any area. So what you want to do is come up with a little bit of water and go around your turtle and drop in more color. I just want you to have that experience of just dropping in color, letting it do the moving for you, letting the water, the paint, the paper, and gravity all doing the work for you instead of you pushing the paint around. That's not what I'm doing. And it's a very big difference. And so you won't get that feeling of seeing brush strokes everywhere. That's the idea. And I'm just kind of patient about it. I just kind of watch and see what's happening. And so beautiful colors are blending together here. This is the fin turtle. You know, I could just keep on playing around with this. Now, this is what you don't want. You see this edge here, how it's stopped? I'm just going to go in with water on my brush and tap it with a little bit, just kiss it, okay? And let those colors softly move into the other area there. So if you want to avoid those hard edges, make sure that you're addressing them early on. So here's my phthalo blue exploding because they're Mamari colors, and Mamaris move. They're gorgeous colors. Maybe a little bit of turquoise, whatever you have going on in your palette. My phthalo turquoise tends to be very vibrant. These are staining colors, so be careful. And so I want the colors to move on their own for me. Okay. And so forth and so on. So now, if this is drying too light, before it dries, drop in more color. So what I do is I charge up the top and I let it move. Charge up the top and I let it move into the area. Now, if I'm going into here, and you can just flip your paper all around in different directions. If I'm coming in here in the middle, you want it to be a feather touch, very, very light, because if you hit this too hard, you're going to get watercolor blossoms, which I don't really mind, but you will be depositing a lot of paint. And the way to control this is just, this is what I'm doing here is just a feather touch. Okay, so that's how we're going to handle our background. And those are the colors we're going to use. Now, and these are just kind of basic things that I do all the time. Now, I want to do this shell the same way. So we look at this shell, it's sort of orange, right? So what I want to do for the shell is this. I want to take each section. So I'm just taking my brush. Let me put a little color on my brush. I'm going to take a little orange and I'm going to go into these different sections. I'm not going to use any masking fluid here. Now, notice that I touched my blue background. It's underwater. It's okay. Don't worry about things like that. It just softens it a little bit. Okay. I just intentionally let the blue come in, let the orange go out. That's a very intentional thing that I just did there. I'm going to add other colors here. So you can add, that was a Schmanky orange. You could drop in a little Quin Gold Deep. Again, these are all analogous colors. You can add in a little Dragon's Blood.
Jen,
Yes.
are you painting on dry paper
Yes,
or wet?
it's dry. If I wet it, I show you that I wet it. Right now, this is all dry. Yeah,
Okay.
This is all dry.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. And then what I'm going to do is when I go to the next section, see how this is bleeding up? I love that. I'm happy it's doing that. I'm going to give it a little bit of an area to just have it bleed into. I got some fuzz on this. Go away. I'm going to allow some of that color to come into the next section. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to keep a lot of the section, but I'm going to blur it a little bit. Okay, this is all dry. This is all dry. So I'm wetting it as I'm painting. You could see the color and you could see that I'm just painting it. Now that it's wet, now I could drop in my other colors. Here's my orange, maybe drop in a little Quinn Gold, right? Drop in a little dragon's blood. And let those colors mix the same way that we did the background, exactly the same way. And if you see it drying a little too light, add a little bit more. We want it to look interesting. And once again, I'll show it to you again. I'm going to breach these areas a little bit and let it come into the next section. So our sections will be somewhat connected, okay? And you'll see no brush marks. There's too much water to see a brush mark. But keep these little white lines very, very thin. Control them. I'm going to do another one here. I'm going to take some Benzimida. This is my new little palette that I got. And I love this Benzimida color that I have, this orange right here. It's a great color. It's a little more opaque, but it's a great orange, very bright and opaque. It blends. And again, these are all analogous colors. They'll never have mud. Now here, something very beautiful happened. And I'm really happy that it did. And I embrace that. It's a soft edge. It bled. And that makes it painterly. That is fearless, what you see there. And I want you to be fearless. I want you to have that experience. I'm going to also just take my dot sprayer and I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of water and look at what I got. I got watercolor bubbles. And even if I hit it on top of my turtle back there, that's my dot sprayer. If you don't have a dot sprayer, you could just take water and hit your finger with a little bit of water from your brush. But that's our warm up. And those are our colors. How much pigment, how much paint you add to these areas, you have basically orange and basically blue complements. They sit next to each other and they look beautiful. In the blue area, the water, we have analogous colors, greens and different blues and turquoise. And in here we have yellows and oranges. So makes sense to everybody. I just wanted to give you a little warm up before we, and see this exploding here. See that happening here? You can't control it, and I don't want to. I'm happy that that happened because it makes it painterly. And remember, we do have our surface area that has these water, the orange reflections on the water, right? So we could go in and drop that in at any time. Now see how it's pushing the blue away? And that's saying that he's very close to the surface. So these little practice, these are really good ways in which to just have a little bit of a warm up before you just start painting. So any questions before we start our painting? See where the analogous colors, you'd never get mud. Where orange and blue touch, they tone each other down. But that's a perfect way to signify that there's a surface there and the turtle's back is reflecting on it. So here's our photo. Here's our paper. This is this is by Saunders Waterford. a 200-pound paper. And I don't know if everybody heard the story about my paper experience. Stop me if I'm repeating myself. I had ordered paper and it wasn't, something was wrong with it. It was not moving the way I know that it should be moving, right? So I called, I got it from Blix. I called Blix up and I said, you know, one, to place an order, two, to speak to somebody, and three, if you wanted product information. So I said, I think I want product. So I hit three, product information. Right? So I get somebody who tells me that it sounds like I was sent old paper. The paper was not new and the sizing had been affected by its age. And they're sending me a new batch. Now, this is something good to know. Number one, don't save your paper, use it. Okay, don't save your paper because the sizing is not something that lasts like eons. I don't know what the normal shelf life is, but to know that you have to be careful of that is good to know. The other thing that I wanted to let you guys know is that Blix honors their products for 1 year. So if you have a problem with any of anything that you buy from them, it's good for you. You could contact them for up to a year. So I just thought you should all know all about that. I wanted to share that with you. Okay, is everybody ready? Everybody kind of practiced a little bit and kind of warmed up? Yeah, okay. Let's go to paint our turtle. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start on my left side because I'm going to work left to right. I'm going to take a big mop brush. I'll add a little bit of color to it so you can see what I'm doing. I'll start with cobalt. And I'm going to come around the edges of the flipper or fin or whatever you call them. Now, I'm going to suggest that you make the edges interesting. Don't make it too rudimentary. Okay. You could have little lumps and bumps, you know, things. Now I'm carrying this away with a little bit of water. I don't want a hard edge. You don't want a hard edge. So you want to remember that with watercolors, it's good to feather it down to the paper if you're not ready to paint an area. Same thing up here. So now I'm just going to add my water and I'm going to drop my colors in. Now, unlike before, I'm probably going to add my orange sooner than later. Okay. So here's, and I'm going to work vertically. So meaning I'm going to drop my paint up here. I'm going to gently guide it down. Very, very light, gentle brush marks. And now you could start adding your colors. So I used my primary blue, which is what Namaari calls it. It's really like a phthalo blue. I have their phthalo turquoise as well. So I'll be adding that. And I'm just feathering this off to a light blue so I don't have to worry about having anything be a hard edge. Now, what other colors did we say? If it's resting too much on top of here, flip it the other way and let it come this way. All right. I added some of my phthalo turquoise. So what we're doing is what I call charging up the colors because water is making them a little weak. The phthalos are very staining colors. So when you put them down with a great amount of respect because they really do They really are extremely staining colors. Cobalt, maybe a little ultramarine, if you have it. And let these colors all kind of blend and merge. So use your gravity to really move it around. I love, love, love painting this way. It's so freeing not to have to move everything around with your brush. And it comes out so beautiful. I think I had some of that green gold in there. That's a nice color to add. Have fun with your colors. Enjoy them. Really have some fun with them. Have some fun with them moving around on the paper. You could see I'm just flipping it all around to just get the desired effect that I'm looking for. I don't even know what that is. I'm reacting to what's happening on the paper. That's what I'm doing. So react to what's happening on your paper by trying these techniques. Feather touch, if you're dropping more paint in, feather, 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 feather touch. It's not a heavy approach at all. You drop it in, let it kind of move around a little bit. The more you practice this, it's so much fun. And see, now that we've feathered this, we can really come over here and not worry about having a hard edge. We're coming in with a little bit more of our brush strokes, our blues. So this turtle is probably, but he's kind of up there. He probably has barnacles on him. And, the edges should be somewhat interesting. You should not be too rudimentary, too just rounded. Find some interesting things with that. Especially like in this area here, like this little flutter that's going on of the bottom part of his shell there, and his flippers will be, they'll kind of have some little things happening, maybe. I don't know. Make it interesting. Make it painterly. I love that green that I added there. That looks really, really good. So if something isn't moving quite the way I want it to, I just add a little bit of water. And I see what happens with it. I control how much water it is with my black drying mat here. So you'll see me rubbing this on here to control how much. I clean my brush. I have too much water on it. I go in there and I remove a lot of the water. And you can just watch these kind of come right around and see how they move your paints around. And before too much time goes, I'm going to do these bubbles on the top, the orange reflections on the top. I think that'd be really very cool. Okay, now I'm going to switch brushes and I'm going to go with a smaller brush because what I'm looking for is a little bit of more control, of a little more color and a little less water. There's plenty of water for it to interact. So I'm just going to drop in with my number 10, some of these nice orange surface reflections. and let it mingle with the blue. If it spreads out, good. Don't worry about it. It's painterly. It makes it a watercolor. You know, I always say this is the only medium that does this. So embrace it. Embrace what happens when you paint with watercolor. This is probably the right time to try my dot sprayer on this side. And this side probably is just a little too wet, but it's giving me even more undersea bubbles, which I'm just crazy about. So the mop brush will give us a nice big broad area, but it will also give us a lot of water. So we just have to be cognizant of that we need more color to add to it so that it is not too weak when we are done letting it dry. This is all wet into wet. That's what we're doing, wet into wet. So this is a fun place to have drips and, you know, those watercolor blossoms. If you're getting those, bravo, good. This is a perfect, perfect, perfect time to have all of those things. I feel certain, I mean, I really love watercolor blossoms almost any time personally. But I particularly feel when we're painting water and when we're painting flowers, it's like the perfect time to have blossoms, you know, watercolor blossoms. It's like invite them, let them, you know, be a part of your painting. I don't try to control them. I don't worry about them. I don't, some people really are very cautious about having those in their paintings. And I'm like, well, you know, to me, that's just part of the beauty of watercolor. One of the many things I love about watercolor. Now, there is something interesting going on in our photograph I want to point out to you is look at this green kind of underneath, right? On his flippers, his head, his body right here, and the other flipper. I want to introduce some of that green right now. So I'm going to do it upside down. And I'm just going to softly, let me go close and show you what I'm doing. I'm just softly eliminating that edge and dropping the green in. And I'm going to feather that up, feather it. This is my green gold. Beautiful color. If you don't have green gold, you could use, oh my goodness, Cascade, any kind of blue green that you have. I just really love the way this green gold just pops. So I'm using that. And it's not exactly the color I see, but you know, I kind of don't mind that it's not the same color that I see. I probably see more Cascade than anything. And again, like we did before, invite these colors to softly intermingle. Got a little turquoise in there. Painting upside down is a really interesting way to sort of give yourself a little permission to have some fun. I'm going to use my dot sprayer over here and down there. And yep, I have a good amount of everything everywhere that I want. Allow these things to bleed. You know, trying to over control that will only make your painting kind of too stiff. So, you know, I get that this is one of those things that we, you know, maybe try to avoid, but I look to embrace it. So I want to talk about it certainly in class. Okay, let me back out and show you where I'm at. There we are. Feathering, 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 so I could come back at any time and rework those areas with the orange. This sort of got a little stuck on this edge there. So I'm just going to show you how I would get rid of that. I'm just going to loosen it up with my flat brush. Okay, I'm just loosening it up so I don't have a hard edge. That's common to see that. And I don't, you know, it's fine that it happens, but you want to be sure to do something about it. There's another hard edge around there. I think I'll do something with that also. It just means the paint kind of pushed up against there. So I'm just going to drop some color in, and I'm working upside down right now and sort of giving the paint a chance to move away from that edge. All fixable. Watercolors are so fixable. And there it's gone. You could also just add more color to the area and it'll be gone also. Of course, I'm losing all my little dot watercolor blossoms, but that's okay. I could go back and spray dot them more in if I wanted to. We have a lot of fun stuff going on, and I'm just curious. You know, I always love to see what's going to happen next when I do this, when I do that, and, you know, all the wonderful things that we want our watercolor to be. Of course, you know, the big thing is the reveal at the end when we lift the masking fluid to see how that looks. Okay, we're going to do the turtle next. So the next thing we want to do is start with the turtle's back. And so as we demoed, I'm going to, did I miss? I think I just missed one little section here. Where this kind of comes down to here. So if you have these drawn in, you'll be able to connect those dots really well. So if you just want to start with one color, any color. So I'm going to start with my Benzimida. Now the top maybe have dried, so I'm going to show you if you wanted to spread out a little bit, I'm going to show you how to do that. It's actually probably spreading out a little bit, but yes, see, it is there and there. Okay, good, it is. If it isn't and you wanted to, here's how you do it. you add, you turn your paper and you just, with a little bit of water, you let it spread out. Just a little bit of water and you let it spread. It is spreading. So I'm really happy about that. But you turn it and that's how I do it. Now we want to add a little bit of our schmanky, which is, you could see a little bit deeper. Don't fill it in, make it like, let the paint kind of do the work for you. And maybe add a little bit of dragon's blood, okay? Now that's actually dragon's blood. You'd think orange would be a warm color, but dragon's blood actually is a pretty cool orange. It's a cool orange. Keep these lines very thin, except where you want to breach it. I just breached it a little bit. It's kind of fun. I don't have to have perfect lines all around. It's my turtle, and that's what I wanted to do. Kind of connect those two sections. Little dragon's blood, little benzimida, maybe a little bit of Quinn Gold or Quinn Gold Deep. Okay, breach it again. Keep it real thin, real thin, real thin, and find your breach. And again, if this is a little wet up here, it will flow into that top part. If not, this is one reason with watercolors, it's so much about timing, right? It's so much timing goes into play with this, that if you want that kind of interaction, you kind of have to let it happen. Look at what happened here. Look at that explosion. I love it. I wouldn't fix that for all the tea in China. This is, these areas are dry, so they're not pre-wet. Once I add the color, they're wet. And then when I add my color in, then it's wet into wet. So I start with a dry area, but then when I go in and I drop in my color, it is becoming wet into wet. Keep these very, 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 very thin, very fine. Don't make them too heavy. And that kind of control is really, really good for you to have. You can make these super fine white lines, saving your whites. It's really big. And it's important to know how to do it. I just added a little phthalo turquoise over here to let that bleed in. You know, think about just working a little intuitively, giving your painting what you think it might need or what you may want to put into it, right? Let me back out and show you how it's looking. Now down here, it starts getting a little interesting and starts shifting colors and going a little cooler right in here, right? A little bit here, maybe. Don't make these lines, in fact, mine might even be a little big. I think I have to make mine a little smaller, believe it or not. Yeah, I think I do. So to cool it down, I'm going to drop some blue in. Right over here. I'm going to, okay, I'm just going to change the color on my brush. And I'm going to right in here. This is right here, okay. Do you see how as soon as I put that in, it started looking three-dimensional? More color, less water. Will give you some a thing like that, a reaction like that. It's just sort of taking off and moving into that wet area all by itself. Because that's what watercolors do. If we get out of the way, they do a lot of the work for us. We think we have to push all the paint around, but you really don't. So, you know, and of course, one of the big things that I believe is we have the photo. It's a beautiful photo, but us as artists, we should want to interpret the photo. We're not doing it to be exact or, you know, I don't know. I'm not a realistic painter, so it doesn't interest me to be that way. Those paintings are amazing when we see them, but it's not how I want to paint. And it doesn't interest me. It doesn't hold my interest long enough. When paintings have interesting things going on, when they ask me to maybe find lost edges or go into the painting and explore the painting, right? That's where I want to be. I want to explore the painting. And I want people to explore my painting. So the more opportunities you give people to explore your painting, to me, that's your style and your painterly, how painterly you're being with it, you know. So the other thing is don't try to correct things too quickly. I could go in and fix that. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I need to. It's too soon. Okay, and this can get a little tedious in here. So we're just going to go right in with the brush and paint all of those pieces that are in there. I think I'll keep it Dragon's Blood. We have that beautiful glaze underneath it of the green. Beautiful. I don't think I gave you all the marks for this, but I don't think you need me to. I think you could find them. You could paint them. Notice as they come around to the side, they're a little foreshortened because they're moving away from us. So a little foreshortening in there. Mostly dragon's blood. That's what I'm just going to do these with. This little nose there with a really fine little brush. Now this edge, that green got a little edgy right there. I'm just going to soften it a little bit with my brush. Just soften this right here. And then I'll go back in and add the orange. So let me show you how I'm doing that. I'm just going in with a pretty stiff brush and just lifting, just nudging that edge to go a little soft for me. And I'm going to move away from it, let it dry, just keeping it soft. We do have our scrubber brushes, but I really don't want to use that here. I think it would just be, it would ruin the the paper too much. And make sure you have enough paint on your brush. You don't want to go back into all these little sections again, like I'm doing. You don't really have to do that. This is straight dragon's blood. I think I need a slightly pointier brush. Let's see what I've got here. Right brush for the right job. That's really important. I like keeping all the brushes that I'm going to use pretty accessible. Could grab them at any time while I go looking for them. And this is just mostly tedious, you know, it's just, this is the little stuff that we go in and we really play around with. I did take the time to give you all of these marks because I thought they would be so important to the basic pattern of him, and also how it rounds around his head. You know, it definitely goes round. So there's a bit of a feeling of three-dimensionality to it. So I thought it was important to give you these marks. I felt they were important for me to have, so I wanted you to have them as well. If I don't feel I need a mark, then I don't put it on my paper. I don't really want to have more marks than I need. But if I feel I need them, which I really did feel I needed all of these, I'll take the time and I'll put them in. So the idea isn't to add more marks, although for some people, you know, when you're doing a lot of detail, it might be. These are details, there's no question about it, but I don't really feel the need to have more than here. But these, all of these marks really meant, really told a story, I felt. Let me back out and show you. You could feel it round, you know, that's really important. These have to be, some of these have to be a little bit bigger. Let's see. Stand back from your work a little bit too, like stand away from it, put it vertical, just get away from it a little bit. Oh, sorry about that. Now to get around these, I think these, it would be nice to do these with a rigger. These sort of things kind of coming around here. That kind of wrinkly skin that's going on there. Think of these as Morse code, some dots and dashes. I think this may have to go even cooler yet. I added the green, but I think we have to add some phthalo turquoise to it. Or phthalo blue. Yep, I think so. These are very intense colors, so use them really, really gingerly. Now that's really dark. Okay, what happens is when I put something on that's really dark, I take it off my brush and then I use it to move around the painting. So I don't worry about it being too dark. It's fine. And then if it goes too light, I can always go in and add a little bit more color to it. Yep. Exactly. Perfect. That's just around his eye a little bit. Inside, I think I should use a little bit more intense color right in here. There's his eye. So I want to add that last fin flipper, whatever they call them. And then I want to lift the masking fluid because this should be dry and I want to see what that looks like. It's a big reveal. Okay, coming down to the wire here. Probably more wriggle work in here a little bit, I'd say. It's got too much blow on there. So that little neck crinkle stuff and from his neck to his fin there. Dots and dashes are a nice way to suggest a line without drawing a whole perfect line. And just do this last fin here, fin flipper, whatever it is, I don't know. I know one is the thing we wear and the other one is what they have. So same as before, keep the lines in between fairly thin. A lot of, I'm just really using the dragon's blood now because I feel like these marks make sense in that color. Dragon's blood, it's a color made by Mamari, and it's a beautiful orange. The only thing that kind of comes close to it, and it's not close at all, would be like a burnt sienna. And it's the closest that is, but it isn't. There's just no getting around dragon's blood. Gotta have it. And Blix in Carl Place used to sell it. When Boyd was ordering it, he would get it for us. It was kind of a cute story because if you asked for it, he would say, "What's the magic word?" And they'd be like, "It's a magic word. There's a magic word to get the color." And you'd have to either say, I didn't know he was doing this, was kind of cute. You'd have to either say Fearless Watercolors or Jan Guarino to get the tube of paint. Otherwise, he wouldn't sell it to you. He would only sell it if you were in my class. It was really kind of cute. Very sweet. So you see what I mean about some of these things that happen, this little explosion here and this kind of edging here. I don't really find any of that offensive. I think that it all really works very nicely with the overall painting, except I never really decide exactly how I feel about it until I lift the masking and I stand back from it and I just take a look and see if there's anything, and you look at it vertically, you maybe put a mat around it. And that's how we view our work, is vertically and away from it, standing away from it. Not 3 inches from our noses, the way we paint it. So there's a big, big shift between how you paint something and how you hang it or view it as artwork. Very big difference. When I would do live classes, when I do live classes, I should say, I have everybody prop their artwork up so you could stand back from it and take a look at it. And everybody would say, oh, it came out better than I thought. And that's because you are getting away from it. You're not on top of it. You're seeing it as it's meant to be seen, which is as artwork, standing away from it, not painting it so close to your face. All right, coming down to the wire here. And this is all dry. So now that this is sort of done, I want to just let it set and see what it may need. But I'm going to lift my masking fluid up. So with a rubber cement pickup, I'm going to see what my splatter and my dribbles and everything look like. Because generally I find that it's not enough just to mask and then lift it off. You need to work it a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, I think some of these could be, these blobby things could be a little bit better. I think the splatter works really well. They feel like bubbles. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to utilize these areas of these very white areas, and I'm going to glaze them with my orange. So they're going to be a little bit more vibrant because I'm putting it on white paper, the color. And I'm just adding a little bit more of my turquoise, just in spots, to make it feel very surface, underwater, reflective kind of feel. So, yeah, I'm happy with how it came out. Just want to fix around his face a little bit. Right here. It should go a little bit darker. Right there. Not the whole thing. I think that's too much. Yep, better. Too much of a good thing is too much of a good thing. And this is where I sort of look at the painting and I see what I think it needs. And I start to work with that understanding of, let me see what I think the painting needs in terms of value, color, shape. These nice little darky darks are great. Not everywhere, just here and there. See how those darks just like made everything pop. I am going to take a little bit of a break from it. I think it's kind of done. I want to just let it rest and see how all the colors sort of dry. But I'm feeling like this is where I wanted to go. I think I achieved what I wanted to with this. I feel that surface going on. I feel the bubbles, maybe add a little bit more orange. It's a little bit of dragon's blood. Just to kind of deepen it a little bit. Oh, I think right there would have be a nice little dark spot right in here. It's not necessarily, it's not in the photo, but I'm just feeling that like it would work really well right there. Yeah. Okay, I'm just about done. I just wanted to kind of sit for a little bit and see what happens. So I have a great blossom there. I love it. A great spreading there. This is a breakthrough, some breakthroughs, some really nice, fun things I'm feeling, which is really what I wanted to have happen with this painting, was just yes, this is the story. How much can you let go to be painterly with it? Nice little dark right there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking that it might be done. I want to let it rest. So that's tonight's painting. Here it is here, all in its full, beautiful, colorful glory. I hope you had a good time. I hope you had fun with it. It should be fun. It should just feel very loose and watery. I'm going to work a little bit more on it, but for the most part, I feel pretty complete with it. So I hope you had a good time, and I'll see you again. This is Jan Guarino, Fearless Watercolors, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.